So today I sort of interwove a tapestry, right, of various kinds of teachings, and some practical, I mean, experiential, some um, conceptual. Hopefully, a lot of it would be experiential. But before we go to a final meditation, or then closing, maybe I thought I open it for questions. If there's anything that came to you that wasn't clear or was difficult, or anything that you want to clarify, it would be a good time to do that before we close. If anything has come to you, either of you or all 300 of you left. Hmm. Yeah.
I have one question. We've done so many different types of practices. Are there appropriate times to pick one over the other, such as like trying to practice sitting meditation over maybe some other practice? Do you have a strategy for picking the type of
Yeah.
meditation you take on?
Yeah, it depends on your mood, depends on your status quo and what is it you want to develop or change, modify or influence, you know. So people who are very sort of dedicated to one form of practice, they get a lot out of it. Um, but this is kind of sort of a overall comprehensive viewpoint, and the opportunity is there to change things up. It depends on the type of, brain processing a person has. So, a person could get, first of all, could just get bored with us doing the same thing and then going into autopilot and not really doing it, right? So that would be a time to change things. For example, if you really like the walking meditation, you've been doing walking for a month or two or three, and then you realize, oh, I don't get the same effect anymore. I don't get the same benefit anymore. You change it up and you do sitting meditation and focus on the breath, focus on these other things. Or you may feel like you've been sitting a lot and the mind doesn't settle down. It needs to move, so you pick up the movement and you do that. Or you may be thinking, okay, my heart has cooled down. I mean, your heart is so vastly, flourished. It's hard to cool it down, but the heart is not present or is not, I mean, one example was when Kurosh passed away, for example. Prior to that, I had picked up as my main practice this loving kindness practice where you send goodwill to yourself and all. It was just so natural and so fruitful for me. It was difficult for me to focus on the breath. And I had to have a good reason for it. I will just focus on your breath wasn't gonna cut it. So anyway, I picked up on that. It became very fruitful for me. And then when he passed away, I mean, God, everything shattered in me. And so I noticed that I cannot do the loving kindness practice. I just couldn't do it. And it was very hard for me to realize that. So I talked to my teacher and he said, Manager, do you know what's happened to you? I mean, my goodness, the loving kindness, if anything, should come back just before you right now. So, because there was a lot of pain and emotions present, it was necessary to cool the emotion and present, maybe not through the emotion, but through the focus. So I actually went the other direction and developed my focus on the breath to cool, calm the emotions. And it was then I actually became very good at it. And I would go deep. I was able to go deep, to cool. And so, you become this I feel like honestly, with all the practices, I became a really great diver going into the ocean and seeing, and how to maneuver, how to be with the octopus, how to be with the, sharks and the beauty and how to be. So you'll know, right? You'll know. Um, so it's not just the focus practice. Thank God. There's a lot of variety. And then you become creative. You are a creative, innovative person. You can make up your own practice as long as it's towards not creating imaginary stuff when you're not trying to. Of course, when you're innovating, that's appropriate. But when you're trying to become aware, connected, present, fulfill that mission of well-being and wisdom, then your creativity can be towards that. Like another example was during the first 10-day retreat I went to, I couldn't, yeah, it was always hard for me to focus, keep my mind in one place. The anchors were very like feather-like. My mind would just jump and jump. So my creative mind came and said, oh, you know what? My son, my older son, he has ADHD. Oh, poor guy. This is probably what he feels like. So I'm gonna do this meditation I was thinking of his brain, that this is going to calm his brain or focus his brain. It's like, gave me a purpose. And it was amazing. Oh my God. Every time it was going away, as if it's him. I'm doing this for his brain. I would just easily come back and come back and come back. It was just perfect. And then it never worked again. It's like, no. So, so so being aware of what's necessary right now. Necessary right now is joy. Necessary right now is wisdom. Necessary right now is compassion. Necessary right now is self-love. Right now, necessary is just calm, collect yourself, gather yourself, or physical, or you want to connect to the universe, there's so many different practices that we can still. So is that helpful, or do you want to have a sort of a main practice, and you're trying to find that, or you're just thinking,
I guess I have a mental mind map for like the situation now. When I'm in a certain situation, maybe based on what I'm trying to cultivate, I might do one thing over the other.
yeah,
I wasn't sure if there was some greater wisdom of how people go about choosing one over the other, if one brings more intention to thinking, maybe in clearing the mind versus clearing, more physical types of pain or more physical types of manifestations of stress. And I feel like it's based on your own judgment and how you're feeling and what's worked in the past to get out of the matrix or out of autopilot to go back into a more conscious approach. So just knowing that makes me feel good because I can do what works and also
right.
change things up.
So see, this is mindfulness has four frames of references, four doorways, four entrance ways or foundations or frames of reference. Body is the first, feeling, mind, and the truth of life. So you you are sure that when you go through the body, scanning the body, feeling the body, do all the body stuff, it will give you wisdom. It will give you clarity. It will calm you down. When you go through the feeling, you just feel the feeling tone of what's the feeling of, this emotion or this pain or this situation or the feeling tone, not the type of feeling that we have named it, but the tone of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. What is the tone right now? Is this a pleasant feeling tone, unpleasant feeling tone, neutral? You become aware of this, then you realize, okay, this is neutral, is appropriate, or no, it's not appropriate. I need to, change it up a little bit, and the other ones too. So there is a lot more to explore, and then the mind is, you're working with your thoughts, you're working to either redirect the thought, like for example, if the thought is very judgmental, as the mind is judgmental, or is just going all over, you either want to settle it down or you want to replace the mode of thinking with another mode, a more productive way of thinking. And then you may be, it may be sticky. It may be like, I keep wanting to not think this way, but I can't help. That frustration comes out. So then you change, you get out of the head and you go into the body, you know? And then things as they are, the impermanence of things, truths of life, the universal things that we could talk about. So I brought in a lot of this, but there's still a lot more to discover and learn. So to begin with, I would say continue a daily practice. That would be very good. If the walking meditation you felt good with it, do that anyway. You know, you don't have to be a circumstantial thing. That would be a routine to calm the mind and connect you, right? And then if you need more, and then there's the mindful eating, and there is mindful listening, mindful of every kinds of stuff we can talk about.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.